They left me at the train station with $70 and a laugh that said, "We finally did it." No wave, no goodbye, just taillights fading into Texas dusk and dust curling behind them like smoke from a slow fire. The metal handle of my duffel burned my palm. I set it down before it branded me. My name's Frank Miller, 68, Vietnam vet, lifelong mechanic. I built Miller Auto Service with my hands and a bank loan nobody thought I'd ever pay back. Linda, my wife, painted the first sign herself, red on white, bright enough to blind you at noon. She used to joke that the smell of oil and coffee was my cologne. Fixing things was the only language I ever spoke right. Bring me something broken, I'll make it whole again. Cars, tractors, people if they'd sit still long enough. I raised my boy Ryan in that shop. Taught him torque before arithmetic, respect before shortcuts. He had the same steady hands I did, and I thought maybe the same heart. Then came Claire, city charm, soft edges, words like expand and modernize. At first I admired her. She had the same fire Linda once did. Maybe that's what scared me. Yesterday they'd thrown a housewarming party. Big place, white fence, laughter that echoed off the walls like empty cans. When it came time for gifts, I handed Ryan my old service watch, engraved to Frank Miller, Welcome Home 1971. He smiled, but not with his eyes. Claire leaned toward her friend, whispered, and both of them laughed. Then Ryan cleared his throat. Dad, we've decided to move the business in a new direction. Investors want someone younger running things. You'll still get a cut. Claire raised her glass. To new beginnings. Didn't even look at me. I left before dessert. Now, under that broken flag at the depot, I bought the cheapest ticket and a cup of coffee that tasted like rust. Steam curled up, vanished fast, like pride does when the world's done with you. Out the window, I could see the sign down the road. Miller Auto Service. Family owned since 1974. Family owned. Not anymore. That shop built my bones. Concrete floor, tin roof, 2 lifts salvaged from a junkyard. Linda made sandwiches. Ryan chased stray bolts across the floor. All of it, 40 years, erased by a signature I never gave. The train hissed in, brakes screaming. I climbed aboard, duffel on my knee. Rain started halfway out of town, steady against the glass. For a second, I caught the reflection of that sign flickering behind me. Half the bulbs dead, the rest fighting to stay lit. Looked a lot like me. Next town over had a diner, 2 gas stations, 1 tired motel. Room for smelled of wet carpet and old smoke. On the bed was my duffel, and inside it, the watch box. Empty. Guess he slipped it back while I wasn't looking. A folded note lay underneath. Ryan's handwriting. Dad, please don't make this harder. You'll see why soon. I read it twice, tore it once, and dropped it in the trash. For a minute, I thought about sleeping till morning. But that's how rot starts, one night at a time. The diner across the street buzzed neon pink. Coffee burned. Waitress called me honey. 2 mechanics argued about electric trucks. Old timers gotta make room for progress, one said. Progress. That word again. Change with better PR. I asked for a phone book. She blinked. You mean paper? Paper, I said. Under businesses I found it. Miller Redevelopment Group, Austin, Texas. My name on something that wasn't mine. Back at the motel, I pulled out my old service notebook. Half sketches, half unsent letters to Linda. First blank page, I wrote. 1. Find out what they did. 2. Make them see. Then I underlined both twice. War teaches you one thing. You don't fire till you've got a clean target. Morning came gray and quiet. I packed my bag, left the key on the counter, and walked to the bus stop. The air smelled of rain and diesel. An old rancher waiting there nodded. Headin' somewhere, brother? Not sure yet. He smiled. Best way to travel. Maybe he was right. The bus wheezed to a stop. I climbed aboard, sat by the window, watched the road stretch ahead. Somewhere back in Marlin, my son was sitting behind my desk thinking he'd won. But when you spend a lifetime fixing engines, you learn every system, every weak bolt, every hidden line. And once you know that, you can take anything apart. Sunlight split the clouds as we crossed the county line. For the first time since the station, I felt something other than anger. Not peace, purpose. I opened the notebook again and added a 3rd line. 3. Don't forgive. Don't warn. Proof. Close the book, watch the miles roll by. You can take a man's shop, his tools, even his name. But you can't take away his reason. And mine just woke up. The bus rolled into Waco just past noon. Sun high. Heat mean. The kind that sticks to your back and wakes up every old scar you ever earned. I stepped off with my duffel slung over one shoulder and $70 in my pocket, the same money they thought would make me disappear. They took my shop, my name, and the only thing a soldier carries home after war, his reason to stand. The depot sat beside the Brazos River, quiet except for cicadas and a dying vending machine hissing in protest. I bought a soda, watched the bubbles crawl to the top, and thought about how slow rot spreads when nobody's watching. Didn't have a plan yet, just direction. Find out what they did. Make them see. That was enough. By the time I reached the credit union, the heat had gone from mean to murderous. The kind that makes glass look liquid. Same sign, different faces. The teller was young, sharp haircut, soft handshake. Typed my name, frowned. Your account's under joint management with Miller Redevelopment Group, LLC. You'll need to talk to one of the owners. Who would that be? He checked the screen. Ryan Miller. And Claire Miller. For a second, everything slowed. The buzz of the lights, the tick of the clock, even my breath. Same names, new titles. I smiled the kind of smile you use when you're deciding whether to laugh or break something. Appreciate it, son. Outside, the air felt thicker. I ducked into a cafe next door, ordered black coffee, no sugar, and opened my notebook. Every page lined, every thought logged like an old field report. Next page, for boxes, bank, land, name, legacy. Every enemy has a structure. Theirs started under my roof. I needed backup. So I headed out past the pecan trees to Ellen Price's place, a retired accountant and old church friend of Linda's. The screen door squeaked like it remembered me. She opened it slow, glasses on her nose, eyes still sharp. Frank Miller, she said. That name's still worth something? Depends who you ask. She smirked. You always did bring me the ugly puzzles. Couldn't just stick to carburetors. Guess not. We sat in her kitchen that smelled like coffee and lemon polish. I told her everything. The station, the company, the forged papers. She didn't blink. Just slid a yellow pad across the table. Write down every paper you've signed in the last 2 years. When I finished, she nodded, thoughtful. You didn't sign the sale authorization, did you? No. Then it's fraud. But proving it's another beast. She left, came back with a cardboard box labeled Linda's files. Inside, receipts, tax forms, her careful handwriting. She kept everything. Ellen said. Didn't trust the world much. Guess she was right. At the bottom, Miller Auto Service, sole proprietor, Frank Miller. Original ink. Original stamp. This might just save me, I said. Or start a war, she replied. Either way, make copies. By sundown, I had them, 3 neat stacks tucked into my bag. For the first time in weeks, something felt steady. Not peace. Not yet. Just steady. The motel room smelled of bleach and stale air. I spread the papers out across the bed. Receipts, contracts, signatures. Half of them weren't mine. Same loop on the F, same tilt on the M, but wrong pressure, wrong pause. Whoever did it had patience, not practice. Couldn't sleep. So I walked. The night was heavy with oil and wet pavement. Down the street, a bar leaked laughter and country music. I passed it, found a payphone, dropped 2 quarters, dialed Ryan's number. Didn't expect him to answer, but he did. Dad, just checking if the shop's still standing. It's fine. Why are you calling? Wanted to hear your voice. Claire says this isn't healthy. Yeah, I said. She's always been good at diagnosing other people. Silence. Then the click. He hung up first. He always does. The dial tone hummed like a warning. Back in my room, I wrote under my blueprint. Step 4. Let them feel safe. People show their hands when they think the game's over. Morning brought light, but no relief. I borrowed Ellen's pickup and drove to the county office. The clerk, name tag said Dennis, scanned my deed and squinted. You've got the original seal. That's rare. Good rare or bad. He shrugged. Depends who forged the copy. He turned his monitor. Filed status, inactive proprietor. Means deceased. Well, I said. Guess I missed my own funeral. He printed every page I asked for. 53 sheets of proof that I was still breathing. Lunch was chicken fried steak and strong coffee at a diner on Franklin Avenue. I scribbled a note on the napkin. They buried me on paper. Now I dig them up. The waitress topped my cup and smiled. You look like a man fixin' to do something big. Just a little maintenance, I said. That night, the evidence covered my bed like a crime scene. Every path led back to Grant Realty Holdings. Claire's old employer in Austin. She hadn't just married my son. She'd married into my legacy. Rain started up again, soft at first. Rain on tin always sounded like Linda humming in the kitchen. It made the quiet easier to bear. I picked up the wrench I'd kept from the shop, the one with Ryan's initials engraved. Held it under the light. Edges worn smooth. Still solid. Guess you built this, son, I said. Let's see if you can fix it. Set it beside the notebook. Turned off the lamp. And for the first time in a long while, I felt motion. The first click of gears finding teeth again. I woke before dawn. The motel clock said 4:42. The air felt heavier than sleep, like the town was holding its breath. I poured the last of the coffee packet into a chipped mug and stared at the notes I'd spread across the dresser. Proof was one thing. Exposure was another. Proof stays in drawers. Exposure walks into diners and orders breakfast. By 6, I was parked outside Miller's Diner, the kind of place where stories grow legs. Before the biscuits hit the table, I didn't have to say much. Just left a folded invoice on the counter while I paid for eggs. Wrong signature, I told the waitress, quiet, like I was embarrassed. She looked once. Looked again. That was all it took. Half the county would know before noon. Next stop, Henderson's Hardware. I set an old oil filter on the counter and told Pete I'd heard the new auto shop owners were cutting corners. He laughed, said he'd seen the same crew buying off-brand parts last week. That's how gossip works. It doesn't need fuel, just a spark. By afternoon, the phone started buzzing. A reporter from the Waco Ledger called, remembering the time I'd fixed her dad's transmission for free. Off record, she said. Is it true they filed under your name? Check the county deeds, I told her. Truth's sitting there collecting dust. That night, I sat in the truck behind the motel and listened to the town breathe. Somewhere, words were turning into headlines. Somewhere else, Claire was realizing silence could be louder than any shout. By the next morning, the rumor had legs. You could feel it in the way folks paused mid-conversation. When I walked in, like the air was waiting to finish a sentence I wasn't supposed to hear. At the feed store, old Mr. Garrison shook his head. Shame what happened with your boy, he said. What did you hear? I asked, pretending not to know. He's fixin' to sell that shop of yours to some outfit out of Dallas. Heard your name's still on the sign, though? Folks don't take kindly to that. I just nodded. Didn't have to say a word. Gossip doesn't like facts. It likes space to breathe. By lunch, the Ledger called again. They'd found the forged documents at the courthouse. Filed neat and proper, just like Ellen said. This could be a story, Mr. Donovan, the reporter said. Local vet defrauded by family. Leave my service out of it, I said. Just print the truth. You sure? She asked. People care about heroes. I'm no hero, I told her. Just a man they thought was done. That afternoon, the sky turned the color of old steel, and thunder rolled low across the flats. I drove past the shop once slow. Through the front window, I saw Claire pacing with a phone to her ear. Ryan sitting on the counter, head in his hands. The sight hurt more than I wanted to admit. He looked like the boy I used to carry on my shoulders after Little League. Same slump when he lost. I almost stopped. Almost. But payback doesn't come from shouting. It comes from letting the truth echo, until the guilty can't tell where it's coming from anymore. So I drove on, the storm following close behind. The next morning, the paper hit the stands before sunrise. I bought my copy from the vending box outside Miller's. 50 cents for 4 inches of print that changed everything. Local mechanic's name used in suspected business scheme. Below it, a photo of my old shop. Sign crooked, window dusty. New logo half peeled from the glass. I sat in the truck, engine idling, watching steam curl off my coffee. The story was short, but it had teeth. Public record quotes, bank filings, and a polite note from the county clerk, confirming that the former owner was alive and requesting clarification. That line did more damage than any accusation. It said I wasn't gone. It said I'd been watching. By mid-morning, the phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Numbers I didn't know. Friends I hadn't heard from in years. Even Tom from the barber shop. Saw the paper, Frank. About damn time. Around 11, Claire called. No greeting, just fire. You did this. Her voice was all glass edges. I didn't print anything, I said. Just told a reporter where to look. You're ruining us. No, I said, calm as tightening a bolt. You did that when you wrote my name on things that weren't yours. She went quiet, then tried a softer tone. You think this makes you noble? You'll destroy your son. Already done, Claire. You just didn't notice when. She exhaled hard. People will know you're bitter, Frank. Old and bitter. Then they'll know the truth fits. I let the silence swallow her words, until the only sound left was the click of her hanging up. The line went dead. The quiet after felt heavy, but honest. Out the windshield, Waco shimmered under the heat. Every storefront, every diner window, reflecting pieces of my life I try to keep clean. You can't fix people the way you fix an engine, but you can show the cracks they leave behind. By sundown, another call came. Not Claire this time. Ryan. Short message. Dad, we need to talk. His voice sounded smaller than I remembered. Scared, maybe. Or just lost. I didn't answer right away. Some lessons need the echo before the reply. The call came at dusk, when the sky still glowed but the day had already given up. Ryan's voice sounded smaller, like a man who'd run out of places to hide. Dad, he said, please can we talk? So I told him where I'd be. Same diner off Route 84. Same booth that leaned a little left from years of us sharing pie and bad jokes. I got there early. Couldn't eat. So I stirred my coffee until the spoon clinked a rhythm that sounded like waiting. The rain had slowed to a mist, just enough to blur the neon sign. When he walked in, I barely recognized him. Same shoulders, but the shine was gone. He stood there, thumb tracing the edge of the menu, like a man rehearsing courage, then slid into the booth across from me. No handshake. No small talk. Just, you didn't have to do this. He had Linda's eyes, same color, same way they searched for mercy where there wasn't any left. I didn't start this, I said. I just stopped pretending it wasn't happening. He swallowed hard. Claire said it was temporary. Investors needed confidence. She said you'd be proud. Pride. I said, you don't steal a man's name to give him pride. He rubbed his palms together, the way he used to before confessing a broken window. She told me you'd signed off, that you were tired, that you didn't care about the shop anymore. Tired, sure, I said. But that place kept me alive when the war didn't. He flinched. So did I. We sat in the hum of the ceiling fan, rain tapping glass. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a rain-spotted folder. Pushed it across the table like a confession he'd been holding too long. It's all fixed, he said. The lawyer's handling it. You own everything again. I didn't touch it. You can't fix what's still running dirty. Shut it down first. Then rebuild. He frowned. What do you mean? Stop lying. To me, to yourself, to anyone still listening. That's the only clean start there is. He stared at his hands. I just wanted you to be proud of me. Son, I've always been proud of the part of you that builds, I said. It's the part that cuts corners I can't stand. I thought making money would make us even. There's no even in family, I told him. Just right or wrong. And the space in between where love tries to survive. The waitress dropped the check and slipped away. I left a 20 on the table. His money once, mine again. Outside, the parking lot smelled of wet asphalt and diesel. Under the awning, rain ran off his sleeves as he said, I didn't mean to lose you. You didn't lose me, I answered. You just stopped looking in the right place. He nodded. Claire's gone. Took what was left of her pride and a suitcase. He looked younger then, tired but lighter, like truth had peeled something off him. Then maybe there's still time, I said. For both of us. He gave a shaky half-smile. Don't know where to start. Same place you always start, I said. Clean the tools. Check the pressure. Don't rush the repair. He laughed under his breath. That's simple, huh? Simple, I said. Not easy. The rain thickened, a slow, steady rhythm on the tin roof. I opened the truck door, then paused. You ever wonder why I named the shop after us? He looked puzzled. I thought it was just family pride. It was, I said, but it was also a promise. That name meant something. You keep your word, it keeps you. He nodded, tears mixing with rain. I forgot what it meant. Then remember, I said quietly. That's all a man can do. I climbed into the truck. He stayed under the awning, water running off his jacket like he was being baptized by whatever mercy the sky still had left. When I pulled out, he raised a hand. Not a wave, not a goodbye, just a sign that maybe the foundation wasn't gone after all. Halfway home, lightning split the clouds behind me. The road ahead glowed pale and slick, clean enough to see where it led. By the time I reached the shop, the storm had almost passed. I parked under the awning and listened to the gutters hiss. Inside, everything smelled like oil, rain, and second chances. On the bench sat the wrench with his initials, polished, steady, waiting. I set it beside the folder he'd given me. 2 pieces of the same story, both still useful. I poured a cup of coffee, sat down, and let the quiet settle. Some repairs don't make a sound when they hold. They just stop creaking. Outside, thunder rolled one last time, soft, distant, like applause fading after the lights go down. Maybe that's all forgiveness really is. The silence that follows when the storm's done talking. I took a sip, leaned back, and said softly, still standing. This time, not out of defiance, but because it was finally true. They dumped me at a train station, $70, one laugh. That's when I stopped being a father and started being a ghost. Ghosts learn. They wait. The morning I left for Waco, the air smelled like wet steel. That smell always took me back to 71. Rotors cutting fog, sweat and cordite in the air. Funny how memory hides in metal. I loaded my old duffel into the Chevy, cracked windshield, stubborn engine, faithful as ever. Inside that bag sat my life, a folder of proof, a photo of Linda, the wrench I'd carried since the army. And in my jacket pocket, that dented lighter from Da Nang, scarred but still sparking. The road out of town unrolled like old film. Same trees, same fences, same ghosts leaning against every mile marker. Didn't need the radio. Silence tells you more than songs ever can. I thought about Ryan, the boy who used to hand me sockets with both hands like they were precious. He once said, "One day I'll take over, Dad." And I told him, "When you're ready." Maybe I should have told him that being ready means being loyal. By the time I hit Waco, the sky had gone that hot Texas blue, the kind that burns your eyes and dares you to look away. I fueled up, grabbed burnt coffee, checked the address Ellen sent. Miller Auto Group. Didn't even bother to change the name. I parked across the street. The shop gleamed. New floor, bright letters, polished lies. And there he was. Ryan. Pressed shirt, clipboard in hand, laughing with some kid half his age. Didn't look like a mechanic anymore. Looked like management. That laugh used to be mine. I stepped out. Gravel cracked under my boots. Each step felt deliberate, steady, a soldier closing the distance. He looked up. Recognition hit him. "Dad, didn't think I'd see you again," he said. "Didn't think I'd have to come find my own name," I answered. From the office doorway, Claire appeared. That same polite smile she wore at Thanksgiving, all teeth and no warmth. "Frank," she said, "this isn't the time or the place." "Then pick one." The boys in the shop froze. Ryan motioned me inside. Control was slipping. The office smelled like paint and fake flowers, too clean to be honest. I dropped the folder on his desk. He stared like it might explode. "What's this?" "Your mistakes," I said. "County says I died last year. Thought I'd stop by my own funeral." He flipped through. Signatures, transfers, forged accounts. Every page, another nail. Claire said, "Don't." She stepped forward, voice smooth but fraying at the edges. "You left us no choice. Investors needed stability. They said you were unpredictable." I gave a dry laugh. "Unpredictable? That what they call being alive now?" She squared her shoulders. "You taught Ryan loyalty. I just taught him to survive." Ryan looked between us, guilt and confusion grinding like bad gears. "You let her run the show," I said. "You traded backbone for comfort." He looked ready to argue, but the words jammed halfway up his throat. "You know what happens when you stop checking the pressure gauge?" I said quietly. He shook his head. "Engines blow. Families too." Silence hung like dust. I laid it out. Every form, every forged document Ellen helped uncover. "By Monday, it's mine again. You can keep your building." The name comes down. Claire's voice cracked. "You can't." "I already did." Ryan sat hard, staring at his hands. "You came all this way just to humiliate me?" I shook my head. "No, son. I came to remind you where you came from." He didn't answer. Didn't need to. Outside, the heat hit like a slap. I started the truck, but didn't drive. Through the windshield, I saw him standing there, smaller than I remembered. Didn't wave. Didn't follow. Maybe mercy looks like distance. I pulled onto the highway, the wind catching that shiny sign, Miller Auto Group. One letter rattled loose in the breeze. Guess even new builds can't hide weak welds. 10 miles out, I stopped near the Brazos. There's a memorial there, granite, cracked at the base, listing the names of every Waco boy who never came home. Third column. Fifth name down. Mine. The stone was warm, solid, real. Somewhere nearby, a cicada droned, steady as breath. I traced my name with my thumb. That's the thing about names. They mean something until someone tries to take them. Then they mean everything. I sat there a while, watching the river crawl brown and slow beneath the bridge. Thought about the war, about how we used to think coming home was the finish line. Turns out, coming home's just another battle. I used to think I'd been fighting age, or loss, or grief. But no, I'd been fighting to stay seen. That's what betrayal does. It erases you one quiet choice at a time, until your own shadow stops recognizing you. I lit a cigarette, something I hadn't done in years. Linda hated when I smoked. Said it made me smell like the past. Maybe that's why it felt right. After a while, I got back in the truck. Flipped the lighter once. Still sparked. Guess some things don't quit easy. The road back was empty, the engine humming low, steady as a heartbeat I could finally trust. People think revenge is about getting even. It's not. It's about reclaiming what's left of yourself. The sun bled down behind the hills, Waco shrinking in the mirror until it was just light and noise. Ahead, the road stretched out long and unpromised. I rolled down the window, let the warm air rush in. Didn't feel like anger anymore. Didn't even feel like loss. Felt like motion. Still standing, I said. Not defiance this time, just proof. And for the first time in years, I drove without looking back. I didn't plan to stop in Brazos Bend. The road decided for me. Wide sky, quiet head, no more noise to outrun. Small town, middle of Texas. Porches with peeling paint, dogs asleep in the shade, diesel and dust in the air. Time doesn't hurry there. It just waits. At the edge of town stood a half-open garage, Phillips Garage. Repairs, restorations, respect. That last word pulled me in. A kid was under an old Ford, cursing a stubborn bolt. Couldn't have been more than 20. Need a hand? I asked. He jolted. Sir, it's just stuck. Yeah, I said. They all are when you're in a hurry. Inside, an older man leaned over the register, cigarette burning in a coffee can. Need something fixed? No, I said. Maybe someone who needs help fixing. That's how it started. By morning I was working beside them. No pay, just space and coffee that didn't taste like regret. The kid was Eli. The owner, Harvey Phillips, had run this place since '82. He never asked what brought me there. I didn't ask what kept him. Days settled into rhythm. Wrenches clinking, compressor hissing, radio humming low. A rhythm I hadn't felt in years. Peace snuck in quiet. Eli reminded me of Ryan. Same spark, same impatience. One afternoon, he stripped a carburetor thread and froze. Hey, I said, every man's done worse. He sighed. I keep messing up. I handed him my wrench. Then keep learning. He grinned. All right, Chief. Name stuck. Nights were quiet. A rented trailer by the river, one lamp, one photo of Linda. She was smiling the way she did when I came home greasy but alive. I'd talk to her sometimes, about Eli, the river, the smell of rain. Not loss anymore. Just life. Harvey caught me locking up one evening. You ever think about settling down here? I laughed. Old man like me? He smirked. Town's got too many preachers and not enough fixers. Could use another pair of honest hands. A week later, he handed me a set of keys. Back bay's yours if you want it. Cold metal, familiar weight, fit my hand right. I swept the floor, replaced bulbs, hung my old wrench set on the wall. No sign. Didn't need one. Folks around here find what they need without asking. First engine I rebuilt was a '67 Mustang. 3 days, 2 busted knuckles. When it finally roared back to life, that sound filled the room like a hymn. That's when I realized Waco was gone from me. All that anger burned out. Eli kept coming by with friends, kids who wanted to learn, not scroll. I taught them how to listen for an engine finding its heartbeat again. Funny thing, each motor we fixed tuned something inside me too. One Saturday, Harvey brought coffee. Saw your light on late, he said. Couldn't sleep. He nodded. You think too much, Frank. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I finally found something worth thinking about. He grinned and left me to it. That afternoon, I hung a small wooden sign above the bay door. Still standing garage. Eli laughed. That's a weird name, Chief. Maybe, I said. But it's true. Next morning, I walked down to the river before sunrise. The water was still. The town reflected in it like memory. For the first time in years, I wasn't running from anything. I was standing in something solid. The sun rose slow, burning the mist away. I closed my eyes and let it warm my face. Not forgiveness. Not redemption. Just peace. The rarest sound there is. Another year gone. The shop's quiet tonight. Compressor off, lights dim, rain whispering on the roof. That kind of rain that doesn't ask for attention. It just stays. The workbench looks the same as ever. Grease stains that never came out, wrenches lined up by size. There's comfort in that kind of order. You spend your whole life fixing things. Engines, fences, people. And eventually, you realize most of it was just to keep from falling apart yourself. The clock on the wall still ticks slow, stubborn. I used to hate that sound. Now it feels honest. Machines don't lie. They either run or they don't. I sat at my desk tonight and pulled out an envelope I'd been meaning to finish. Addressed it weeks ago, but words don't come easy when you're trying to say goodbye without calling it that. Ryan Miller, my son, Waco address. I stared at it a long time before I started writing. Ryan, if you're reading this, it means I'm not around to make a mess of the words. I've never been much for letters. You know that. But I figured it's about time you heard me without the noise in between. I paused. Rain hit the tin harder, steady as a pulse. I kept writing. You wanted a life cleaner than mine. Quieter. You didn't see how much noise your silence made. Maybe that's on me. Maybe I taught you to hold things too tight. But I want you to know I'm proud. Always was. Even when it hurt too much to show it. I set the pen down and stared at the photo on the shelf. Linda's smile caught in that old yellow light. She always said I loved the shop more than people. Maybe she was half right. The shop was simple. You learn early. Every bolt matters. Every turn counts. People? They don't come with torque specs. I picked the pen back up. Your mother used to hum when she cooked. Said it kept the house from feeling empty. Guess I started keeping the engines running for the same reason. Noise meant life. Silence meant loss. The paper blurred for a second. Maybe from the light. Maybe not. Don't waste years proving you're right, son. The world doesn't care. Fix what's worth fixing and leave the rest alone. And if you ever hear that old compressor hum again, don't think of me as gone. Think of it as the shop still breathing. I folded the letter, sealed it, and placed it under Linda's picture. Didn't trust the mail. Never did. Some things find their way on their own time. The rain slowed. Outside, the trees along the bank bent with the wind, but never broke. That's the lesson I needed. You can bend. You just can't quit. I leaned back in my chair, watching the light from the desk lamp dance across the old wrench, the same one with my initials etched into the handle. The metal's worn smooth now, but it still fits my hand like truth. Still standing, I whispered. Not defiance this time, just proof. Outside, a truck engine started. Young hands at the wheel. The road hummed again. And for the first time in a long time, the sound didn't hurt.